Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton, kick-started their campaign at the Australian Grand Prix with a lot of excitement and anticipation. But just like the rainy weather proved to be a bit of a dampener in Melbourne, so did Hamilton's Ferrari debut. The defending constructors' champions McLaren started from where they left last season, with Lando Norris finishing on top. It was business as usual for Max Verstappen and Red Bull, who came in second, and Hamilton's former teammate, Mercedes' George Russell, grabbed the final spot on the podium. But for Ferrari, it was all chaotic. Ferrari debutant Lewis Hamilton finished 10th, and Charles Leclerc took the 8th position, a result that saw mixed reactions online. And the reason why some fans were left frustrated was because Ferrari's chaotic preps were for all to see, right from the moment they landed in Melbourne, following the weeks of trials, pre-season testing and a grand show in Italy where fans were given hope of the glory old days coming back. Ferrari drivers Leclerc and Hamilton finished 7th and 8th on the grid while qualifying. They walked into the race already trailing their competitors, and it isn't just the result that raised concerns. The otherwise calm Ferrari camp got an earful from both drivers over their decisions. Coupled with the changing weather conditions in Melbourne, it was indeed a horror show for this team.
We lost 3 or 4 positions, which was then very difficult to recover. We overtook 1 or 2 guys on track, but then we were a bit too late for the pit stop, and then we lost a few other positions. We made the wrong call because I think the best option was to pit the same lap as Max, and we made the wrong call at this stage.
And it's not like there was some issue with the car. It was quite simply Ferrari's failure to get the most from it.
It was really very tricky. Really tricky today. I think we can improve that in the next race, hopefully, and get the car in a sweeter spot. I think there's a lot more potential in the car than what we were able to extract today.
Well, Hamilton surely seemed very calm saying all that, and very hopeful too of things to come and a turnaround, but it ought to be frustrating to be behind that wheel and going through a race that was riddled with errors. The question though is, how long will the 7-time world champion stay quiet if these mistakes continued? Sure, it was still a first race for Ferrari with Hamilton and a tough season opener, but it wasn't just Hamilton who finished outside the podium. Another driver who's been with Ferrari over 7 years, Charles Leclerc, finishing 8th, just makes it all the more worse. Because here's a driver who brought Ferrari close to winning the constructors only last year. He himself finished 3rd in the drivers' standings. So the reason for this damp squib of a show clearly wasn't just down to niggle and nerves of a debut race for Hamilton. It was the shortcomings of a Ferrari team as a whole that led to such a poor outcome. A good time as any for the entire unit to remind themselves why this partnership was forged in the first place, to turn things around a whole way to winning titles again, not just finishing races. One way of looking at this, of course, which is what Ferrari should do, is be glad that such a show came at the start of a season. A jolt in the beginning can only mean an early wake-up call. Much better than a spanner in the wheels when things are all smooth. Because if they really want to challenge the top contenders for the title, they need to forget the opening race and focus on how they lost some of their opportunities during it. Maybe the team needs to use the simulator to erase the memories of this Australian Grand Prix, like they did to make Hamilton erase what driving for Mercedes felt like, and focus on the changes they will have to make for the races coming up.